Om Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Chetanitya Vidhiyate Namastasai 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 Namo Namaha Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Buddhirupena Samstita Namastasai 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 Namo Namaha Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Nidra Rupena Sanstita Namastasai 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 Namo Namaha. Repeated salutations to the Devi, the goddess, who resides in all beings as consciousness. Repeated salutations to the goddess, who dwells in all beings as intelligence. Repeated salutations to the Devi, who is established in all beings as sleep. And it goes on and on. Hunger, thirst, everything, whatever we experience, not only we, human beings, is called all beings, Sarva Bhuteshu, every being. So Mother resides in all of us in these forms. To wish you a very happy Independence Day. Happy birthday. Yeah, it's 245th birthday, 1776, 4th July. And apart from the fireworks and celebrations, yes, it is kind of a reminder of the sacrifices the many people they went through in order to give us this freedom today that we enjoy. So we should not let those sacrifices go in vain. We should carry forward this idea and this ideal of freedom and pass it on to next generations and over and over. Because Swami Vivekananda says, it is only in freedom that you can grow. Freedom is the first condition of growth. And that's how societies evolve, through freedom. The topic today is why the quest for reality won't go away. Yeah. I can tell you it's not going away anywhere soon. You know, Swami Vivekananda says, science is a search for truth in the external world. Religion is a search for truth in the internal world. And we wish both could combine. Science is dismissive about religion as superstitions and myths. And religion dismisses science as fake, as irrelevant. Though we all use all the inventions of science, of course. Now, Swami Vivekananda wanted both of these two mighty streams of this quest, external and internal, to merge. It seems it will take some even more time. But this is a story in the West. In the East, there was no kind of dichotomy between science and religion. And that's why we have a system of philosophy called the Vedanta that is in consonance with science. You go anywhere, you go to the remotest islands in the deep forest, in deserts, in mountains and hills and valleys, everywhere, you'll find people and with some form of religion. Isn't it wonderful? Nobody has to teach you religion. You leave a group of people in an island, Return after a few years and you'll find them, they have developed mythology and some form of rituals. Do you think we have been teaching religion to people? If you think like that, there's something definitely wrong with you. And that's what happened with most people. Organized religions thought these are heathens and uncultured. We need to teach them religion. No. Aren't we all unique? And our expression of religion is innate and it will be unique. It has to be unique. So you have thousands and hundreds of thousands of expressions of religions which are spontaneous outpourings of the human soul. They look around and see what is real. They see in their own lives the ephemeral, transitory nature of things, and they say, what is real? This question has to arise in a person's life. And when that person takes up the pursuit, that becomes a quest for reality. And we always will look out for this reality, consciously or subconsciously. This is the nature of the world. Why? Whenever, neurologists, they find some new part in the brain that's kind of nice and promising, the media calls it, oh, they found the God spot. The neurologists will not say that, but they are talking about some kind of fundamental kind of neurological kind of structure or network. And when these atom smashers, at CERN, they're saying they found that Higgs boson. That's a God particle. Why? Well, it's not a God particle, of course. But it is fundamental. And that is what I'm trying to get at. It's, that it's innate. We are trying to see some underlying structure of reality. And we are mighty pleased when we get something. So all religions, all science, all philosophies, all poetries, you should include everything. Every branch of knowledge is a search for the real. If that wasn't there, human life wouldn't be worth it. Yeah. Now we are talking about humans, okay? I'm not including, you can say, the other species of the world teeming. We do not know. But in the human being, there's something called the mind stuff has taken the form of self-consciousness. And we can reflect ourselves. We can contemplate, we can think, we can look back and look forward. So we are in a unique position to understand and pursue this quest for reality. Why? Like I said, it's innate. You cannot dismiss it saying, I don't care. Well, you do, in a way. Well, when you want to eat that piece of chocolate, you're not going to be dismissive. Yeah, this is real. But what is really real? There comes the quest. So, this quest has been in Western philosophy and you can say religions and psychology, mainly on the waking state, the conscious level. We know, conscious, except for Freud, who kind of tried to speak about the unconscious, and Carl Jung, who tried to interpret dreams. Why? Because it explains the waking state. That's why. So in the Vedanta, in the Upanishadic rishis, they went down, which no one has ever done, and probably will try to do something in the future. They sought reality in the deepest sleep, called the deep sleep, called the delta sleep. If we are not there, this is the most natural thing. Sleep. It's so angelic when you're sinking into sleep, when drowsiness kind of overtakes you. And nothing can be better than that in the world. The lights go out inside and you are not there. Have you ever thought about it? You spend 1/3 of your life in this state. Try not sleeping for a couple of days, you'll know what happens. Your brain and your senses and all your perception and everything will go awry. You start hallucinating. Yeah, so it's essential. So these Upanishadic sages, they went right deep inside. And in this state, you are not there. There's no one rich, no one poor, no one learned, no one ignorant, no man, no woman. So, yeah, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad speaks about the state graphically. So I'll be using some of the teachings of this Upanishad to illustrate my talk today. The first is saying, like a falcon or a hawk being fatigued while flying in the sky, folds his wing and runs towards the nest, so does this infinite being run towards this state of deep sleep, where in that state it dreams no dreams, it desires no desires. Just note that there's a word I used, this infinite being. So here he's saying, so does this infinite being run for the state where falling asleep, sleep craves no desires. And then it takes a tremendous leap. Then it says, in this state, a father is no father, a mother, no mother. The gods, no gods. The worlds, no worlds. The Vedas, no Vedas. A thief, no thief. A killer of a noble Brahmin, not a killer of a noble Brahmin. A monk, no monk. A hermit, no hermit. Then it says, this is its form. It is untouched by good work and untouched by evil work. For it is then beyond all the woes of the heart, of the intellect. Tremendous. Where will you get all these things? Amazing. So in that state, you are beyond everything. But you know you existed because you experienced it. There is an experience. I slept well, I did not know anything. This is your experience. I couldn't sleep, I was thinking all the time, worrying about COVID. Well, that's your experience. So in this world, our bodies are guided by something called a circadian rhythm. It's called also the biological clock. Waking and dream state, or waking and dreams. It follows a pattern. And it's not unique to humans. Fungi, bacteria, living organisms are found all over nature to follow a certain rhythm. That's the biological clock. There's a secretion of melatonin. As darkness kind of gathers strength, there's a secretion of melatonin, and then it's a signal. Oh, time, come on, come back. But in this modern age, oh my God, crazy. We've disrupted our biological clocks. And the principal reason for all our fragmentation, mental and physical, is due to this. Oh yes, you can take it from me. So, most of this, there's a network related to sleep at the back of the brain here. Okay. Now they are searching for the networks. Okay. Good. Let them search for the networks. So here we have, in this modern world, which we have created, and artificial intelligence was inevitable, this digital age. Many people never saw it coming in such a forceful way, but it is here. It is molding us, and we are molding artificial intelligence. And in the process, we have changed the day and have changed the night. So these are the massive changes that are all going on. So with the disruption of this cycle, sleep cycle, melatonin cycles, we need to take pills to sleep. And the rise of use of pills is alarming. Yeah, it could drown all of us here. The way we pop pills to sleep. Why? You can sleep anywhere, anytime. But we need help to even sleep. And apart from that, from all the radiation from the devices, the blue light and all, the whole thing has become so disruptive. And when we sleep, we are not adequately rested. I mean, we sleep in fragments. There's no deep, restful sleep that you need. So, they say that it's only the yogis who have experienced samadhi can transcend the circadian rhythm. For them, samadhi is even more restful than sleep. Rest, all of us, we need to sleep. Okay. It's natural, when we have been taught from a young age, you take the name of God and fall asleep. Do your prayers, or you can say do your japa, and as you start feeling drowsy, you can stop and lie down and fall asleep. That's the best way. And in the old days, we have seen our grandmothers telling us those bedtime stories from the great epics, Mahabharata and Ramayana and the Puranas. And we used to listen to them and then slowly fall asleep. We have to approach sleep with respect and veneration. Why? There are times when people have woken up with a different accent. Have you heard of this? Yeah. Some people with speaking in a different language. There are some people who wake and find themselves a better person than they went in. Yeah. Enhanced version of themselves. I remember my grandmother, she passed away in sleep. And she is not the only one who passed away. So you can see, it's a very dynamic state. There's something really big going on inside. Well, there it is. And we all saying, oh my God, why did she pass away in deep sleep? We woke up one morning and found that she generally used to wake up first and wake us up, and we all saying, oh, she should have been conscious, and then she should have been meditating, and then she would have just left a body like that. But that's what happened. So, there are various things. Lack of exercises makes the brain kind of mushy. And then we are constantly looking at telephones and mobile phones, messaging and this and that till late night, and listening to music and watching some movies, and we expect some good night's sleep. Sorry. Yeah. So, okay, I have a long way to go. So, we have heard, there was a Prime Minister of England saying, he said, sleep, it's for wimps. Tough people don't sleep. Yeah. How wrong she was. If sleep deprivation prevails for a few days or even months, you had it. It's all over for you. Okay. So like I said, your body and your mind cannot take this sleep deprivation. So what you say is, now even the CDC has declared sleep deprivation as a public health epidemic. There we are. We are now, so good. It's an epidemic here, in the US at least, CDC. So you need medical attention. It is disrupting societies. It is harming national economies. It is breaking social life and family life. Lack of sleep. Imagine, who would have thought about it? The first thing that happens is, in sleep deprivation, is psychological problems. Attention, memory, cognition, intelligence, everything is disrupted. You have very poor judgmental skills. Oh yes. So problem-solving skills are also disrupted. Slow learning, depression and anxiety is observed in sleep-deprived people, as well as irritability and anger, leading to antisocial behavior and psychosis. You gain weight, of course, because there's a craving for high-fat, high-calorie, high-sugar diets to keep you running, you see, artificially. Heart diseases is a silent killer. And because of that, stress is nothing but the release of cortisol. And cortisol is a stress hormone, and it kicks in and keeps you awake because you're stressed. Diabetes, of course, is a slow killer. Insulin resistance is now the catch-all phrase for everything, any diseases. They say, oh, insulin resistance. The body just cannot take any more sugar in it. Just pushes it out. Lowered immunity, and autoimmune diseases are also running about riot. And we have, of course, the other premature aging, starts with the skin, etc. So what is the amount of sleep required, and what is sleep? So, as I said, melatonin is secreted by the pineal gland or pineal gland. So what happens is the brain stops receiving external sensory stimulus and disables your voluntary muscles, so you don't act out your dreams. Suppose you're dreaming that I'm eating ice cream. You don't need to act it out. You can disable. Otherwise you're going to create problems for everybody. So babies need 15 to 16 hours of sleep. Yeah. And newborns also are constantly sleeping. You noticed? You all must have noticed. Oh, sleeping. The neural networks are being laid down in the brain, and the brain does not want any interference now. Put this guy to sleep and let's work quietly. So 11 to 14 hours for children of about 5 years old. 10 to 13 hours for children at the puberty level. And 9 to 12 hours for children during puberty. Teens need 8 to 10 hours. Adults need 7 to 8 hours, and this includes naps, okay? So I sleep only 4 hours, but I nap for another 3 hours. That also is included. Okay. So as we age, the need for sleep diminishes. This is found, we all know. We are growing older, and when we find, I never used to sleep so less any time in my life. What's happening? And we know, sleep, wow. We wish you a sound sleep. Yeah, really is full of sound. And I remember at times in the monastery when we had to live together in a kind of huge dormitory, and the sound sleep was tremendous. It used to keep us awake. Snoring. The sleep apnea is wonderful. It disrupts your breathing, and then you wake up. Narcolepsy is a kind of a neurological disorder. You can sleep anytime, anywhere. No problem. But what happens is you don't get adequate sleep at night. And so many other things like the ambient radiation, this, that, and so on the short term, we might kind of laugh, but it disrupts health and reduces your lifespan. As good as that. Okay. So now we have sleep clinics all over the place, routing all this, and sleep specialists, specialized. So they are hooked up to the monitors, monitoring your oxygen and melatonin and all these, your EEG kind of waves there. So trying to understand what is this sleep. It's a good thing. We are pushing into areas where we would never venture, thinking as it's useless. No. These things now, these findings are being discovered, which is helping people in the waking state and the dream state. Yes, so they are looking at it from the medical standpoint, of course. In Vedanta, we have, when you go to sleep, you're merged in bliss. There is a layer of your personality deep within. It's called a layer of bliss, Anandamaya Kosh. So that's where you actually enter inside when you sleep. Okay? That's the deepest layer of your personality. So, okay, when we sleep, what happens? Let's look at it from the medical standpoint. There is something called the brain waves. I've got a brain wave. Yeah, so what's that? Beta waves are the three: low intensity, mid-range, and high intensity. We won't go into that, but low intensity is kind of the normal. You can say beta waves, where they are around 22 to 50 hertz. In that, it's a kind of a very high arousal state, and it's stressful, and you don't learn anything. So the waves are spiky and fast. Mid-level, it's okay, there's a time for learning, and low level is okay. It's a relaxed attention. After that, we get something called alpha waves. This is the brain switches quickly from low beta waves to alpha. Alpha waves is consolidation of what you have learned or seen, everything. This is what makes your thoughts real. theta waves are even slower, well, slow, very slow, 4 to 8 hertz. This is the opening of your subconscious mind. You are more in the kind of a dream-like state. You are awake, your body is kind of, drowsy and wants to sleep. Mind is slightly awake. And then comes the delta sleep. There we have there. This is 0.5 to 4 hertz or 5 hertz. This is where you sleep. And this is what you actually need. Delta sleep is deep sleep. There are other waves called the gamma rays, but we won't go into that. These are, they resemble beta waves, but they are more coordinated and more regular. So in extreme cases of happiness or compassion, you have these waves. And not only that, there is a sense of transcendence, physical transcendence in this state. Everyone needs sleep. So we go through the first stage, like it goes, as you start sleeping, as you're going down to sleep, it takes from 1 to 7 minutes. And before you enter into it, that's the stage 1, they say. What happens is you enter into a kind of a hypnagogic state where thoughts come and flit about. And it's like, they say, well, you can't push things away, just come. So it's more like a kind of hypnotic state. You can't do anything about it. And then after that, you go down to the second stage. That's a non-REM, rapid eye movement. When you dream, your eyes move beneath your eyelids. In this state, there's no movement of the eye. Then you go down to sleep, where we spend the maximum number of hours here in this state, stage 2. That also is non-REM, non-rapid eye movement. And then it sinks down into something called the delta sleep. So this is a very slow wave. I won't go into the kind of the specifications of this hertz, because I don't want to make you all feel sleepy. So you go down, it runs up and down like waves. Okay, I think that is clear. It just runs up and down. And you get into the delta sleep and you emerge out. As you're emerging out, it's from anywhere between 10 to 60 minutes, you are in that state. As you emerge, that's a time when you emerge out into the dream state. You see dreams, REM. You emerge and once again go to the second stage and then come back to the third stage. So it's on, up, down. Okay. As you finished your sleep cycle and you're emerging out, you again come to something called a hypnopompic state. You're trying to make sense of the external world. What? Okay, where am I sometimes? Oh, okay. That is it. It's a kind of hypnotic state. So each kind of rise and fall, ideally it should happen 4 times, between 4 and 6 times. Okay, so that is sleep. So good. So there are many preachers who say, sleep and samadhi is the same. And they actually preach, go to sleep, it's like samadhi. Nidra samadhi sthiti. But that's from a different standpoint. Swami Vivekananda says it cannot be, sleep and samadhi cannot be equated, because saying one person gets into a sleep state and the sum total of his knowledge is the same when that person emerges out of sleep. And then he says, another person, a fool, gets into that state of samadhi and comes out a sage. What happened? So he's saying it's obvious that that person has gone in different place than what these people are talking about sleep. Okay. So you come out a sage and in the state of samadhi. From the state of samadhi, you emerge. And in sleep, you are the same, sometimes almost the same, but with a few changes. Okay. So you find sleep also is called the daily dissolution. Daily dissolution of your individuality. Nitya pralay. You know, these sages, they were kind of, they were so grand. If you are going through this cycle, the whole universe has to go to the cycle. So this is called a Mahapralaya. Then the whole universe goes into a kind of a state of dormancy. And then emerges out. It's cyclic, over and over and over. Creation moves around in these massive cycles. All the ages are within this cycle. If the universe goes through these cycles of creation, preservation, and destruction, called pralaya, then the individual also has to mimic that very state. That individual has to be in sync with this universe. You also arise, awake, go through all this, and then merge back in. That is the starting point. That's what we call Nitya Pralaya. Fantastic. And we know, when we are sleepy and you fall asleep, kind of a wonderful feeling. Yeah, it's a wonderful feeling because your ego isn't there. So with the absence of ego, you feel wonderful, obviously. And when you wake up, your ego comes in with hundreds of cares and worries, and all the rubbish and the garbage and the trash that you've collected, everything comes out. And then, oh my God, life is terrible. That's because of that ego there. It's collected all that trash and garbage all over, and it wants to push it away. So it's only deep sleep. And it's found that if suppose there was no sleep, we would have all gone crazy. Oh yeah. Simple as that. So there we are. So, and I'm sure most of you have heard of, when we fall asleep, where do we go? The song? You heard a song? No. You heard of Billie Eilish? No. She stays somewhere in the neighborhood here. Oh, she is kind of tremendous. She's become so popular. She's an icon, youth icon, and she's a great singer. Remember the name. I'm not going to promote her. I'm just a kind of... So she asks, saying, when we all fall asleep, where do we go? And I watched a clip, the video. Nowadays you have a song with the video and the kind of the eyes rolling and this and that. I said, my God, no, that's not meant for me. People have no idea where do they go when they fall asleep. Yoga Sutra says, sleep is a movement of the mind that embraces the feeling of voidness. So here we have Vritti Nidra. Abhava Pratyaya Alambana Vritti Nidra. Anyway, so, Billie Eilish and us also, she should have read a section of the Mandukya Upanishad, one of the Upanishads, that speaks about where do we all go when we sleep. That can be the second part of that song, I think. You need to tell. So it says, that state is deep sleep, where the sleeper does not desire any enjoyable things and does not see any dreams. This third quarter, this third state is called prajna, the one who knows. It is the identity of the soul in deep sleep. So we are all in the deep sleep. We have a name now, prajna. Jna, to know. That's it. The word knowledge has come from that jna, to know. Jna. Prajna, to know it, know well. This prajna has sleep as a sphere in whom everything becomes undifferentiated, who is a mass of consciousness, vijnanamaya, who abounds in bliss, who is surely the enjoyer of bliss, and who is a doorway to the experience of the dream and waking state. Anand book, Cheto Muk. These are, very powerful words. So where do we go? This is what you actually experience. What is that? You are experiencing the reality, but you are doing it unconsciously. So where does this prajna, this identity which you have in your deep sleep, where does it reside? It resides in the akash, in the space which is in the heart, the deepest core of your being. What happens there? The Upanishads give an example. Like a loving husband and a loving wife embrace each other, they do not know anything internal or external. So this individual soul is embraced by the Supreme Soul and does not know anything inside and outside. So there he says, this is his form in which all the objects of desire have been attained. So this infinite being fully embraced by the Supreme Spirit. So your individual soul is fully embraced by the Supreme Soul. Now you know where you go. Yes, this is a kind of, these truths were never told to people who are unqualified to hear it. But Swamiji said, go and teach everything, everybody. Let people should know where they go to sleep. And let them know who they are. They're thinking that they're small and stupid and tiny and ridiculous. In deep sleep, he's saying, the Upanishads say, they get into that Supreme Soul. And when that happens, that process is called swapiti. That person or that one who sleeps, saying Uddhalaka, the son of Aruni, telling his son, Svetaketu, O good-looking one, learn from me about deep sleep. When a person is spoken of as swapiti, one who sleeps, then that person becomes merged in nature. Merged in existence. That person becomes merged in existence. The collective existence. That person attains the rest of the Atman. Yes, this is what it is. So what is this prajna? Who is this entity? That entity is part of course, we are all prajnas when we go to sleep. But what is the collective entity? Because Vedanta always will link the individual with the collective, the finite with the infinite. You know what's that called? That is called Ishvara, God. You become one with God. Isn't it wonderful? Now you know why the search for reality or truth will never go away. And people say, oh, God realization, God realization. What kind of when I came here to the US, I was kind of God realization, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, this, that, awakening of the Kundalini. I said, my God, we've missed something here. It's as simple as this. You should know this. So there was a very proud, teacher called Balaki. He goes to the king of Kashi, Ajata Shatru. He goes, I will teach you about Brahman. Saying, yes, go ahead. And then this proud boy, he was young, kept on teaching the king about Brahman. And every time he says, this is one part of Brahman. The king is saying, no, stop. I don't want to hear that Brahman. And he gave him the higher teaching. 12 times Balaki taught Ajata Shatru, and 12 times you are dismissed, and the king showed him a higher aspect of the reality. Then the king says, is that all? Yes. Now I approach you as a student. So it's saying it's not conventional that a Brahmin will learn from a Kshatriya, but I will teach you. Because the ego was crushed. Like Master Mahasaya, the one who recorded Sri Ramakrishna's gospel, his ego was crushed 3 times in the first meeting with Sri Ramakrishna. So that's how it all started. Then he took him by the hand, led him to a place where a guy was sleeping. Pushes them, doesn't wake up. He's saying, great white robed Soma. That person was still sleeping, like we do. He was using the epithet of that Atman which he had used. But it's obvious that this person is sleeping. He's not responding. Then the king shook that sleeping person violently, and the person woke, and you see the king waking him, leaves. Saying, when this person was in deep sleep, where was he? Balki, of course, didn't know. And the king said, when this being, he's saying this being, Vijnanamaya, full of consciousness. We think there's no consciousness? No. There is something called a full of consciousness. Why? Because there it is all one. When consciousness is differentiated, we see different consciousnesses. The tree consciousness, mine, yours, my memory is separate, my cognition is separate. So this is a fragmented consciousness here. And when consciousness becomes one, there is no differentiation. So he said, it absorbs at the time the functions of the organs through its own consciousness. It absorbs the eye, the ear, the mind, and everything, and rests in the supreme space which is in the heart. Saying that's the process of swapiti, the one who sleeps. And then when he wakes up, the king further taught him that he emerges out of 72,000 subtle nerves out in the dream and the waking state. Now, he gives an example, like a spider that has spun its own web from its own body. Obviously, it doesn't take materials from here and there. So does this soul traverse out of its niche and emerges out through those nerves in the dream and the waking state. Okay, I think this is clear. I won't go into it more further because, so what Balaki was teaching was the conditioned Brahman. What Ajatashatru was speaking of, the unconditioned Brahman. That soul as the reality is one with reality. So when you sleep, you are one with reality. You're one with existence. And what's the name of that existence? God. as simple as that. To many, I think it's a revelation, isn't it? Yeah. When I read it, I was kind of ecstatic. I remember when I was young, this is where I go when I fall asleep. Now I know. And it changed my life completely. Because you know what, like I said, my grandmother had passed away in sleep, and I was we were young, and we were, where did she go? Oh, I wanted to know. So these are the findings of the great rishis of the Upanishads. Unparalleled. So, but these are so vague. I could have gone more, but I don't want to now disrupt your understanding. But I'll end with Sri Ramakrishna, obviously. Saying, Swami Vivekananda says, you can understand the Upanishads and everything, Vedas, only through his life. So, one time, Latu, Swami Adbhutananda, was fanning the master. He had worked hard the whole day and he was tired. He was trying to stay awake. And he wasn't letting go. He was trying to fan and, dozing. People sit down and meditate and they fall asleep. It's something like that. So here he was trying to fan. And then Sri Ramakrishna says, half jokingly and half seriously, Leto. So he says, can you tell me if God sleeps or no? There. Then he says, Latu Maharaj, in his rustic style, he says, Ami janta nahi, I don't know. Then more seriously, Sri Ramakrishna continued, everybody in this world sleeps, but God does not sleep. If God slept, the universe would be plunged into darkness and would dissolve. God must remain awake day and night, taking care of his creatures. Now you know who's taking care of you. Not your social security. It's God who's taking care of you by keeping awake there. He's saying, so that all beings can sleep without fear. You don't get frightened while going to sleep, isn't it? Except when we were young, we have these nightmares and we were afraid of the sleep. Oh my God. Right. Then he says, Latu, Swami Adbhutananda was amazed. Do you mean to say that God takes care of his creatures while they are sleeping? And that they accept service from him, their creator? Sri Ramakrishna says, yes, that is right. He lulls his creatures to sleep and stays awake to watch over them. Now you know who is looking after you. Now you know why the quest for reality will never go away. It's just impossible. Religion can never go away. Science was so powerful. It's now we are going to finish off religion. Yeah, a certain kind of stupid kind of religious doctrines are being pushed as religious. That's not religion. Real religion, it's not going to go away. And this is where Vedanta will step in. It's explaining this state of reality from the deepest aspect of yourself as well as the universe. It's not going to go away, and you are in touch with that reality in your deepest sleep. Aren't we in touch with that reality in the waking state? Yes. In a dream state? Yes. But like the king Ajatashatru showed, there are, when you call out to that soul, the body is awake, is alive. That which keeps the body and the mind, part of the mind, and the senses alive is prana. Prana never responded to that identity of the soul which I've spoken about. So that cannot be your real identity. Your prana, your vital force, your mind, your senses, your body cannot be the reality. Yeah. So, in Vedanta, it's like Swami Vivekananda's favorite, arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. Uttishtata jagrata. And we talk about this great sleep of ignorance. One day we will wake up from this sleep of ignorance. Not only from the state of sleep, but we wake up from the sleep of ignorance and awaken into that light which is our real nature. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. Announcements. Next Sunday, we have a very popular Swami coming to Hollywood, Swami Sarvapriyananda. He will speak on 5 verses of enlightenment. As you know, Swamiji is from the Vedanta Society of New York, and he'll be here for a little over a week. But there will be a registration for in-person attendance. There's the email sent to all members. Okay, they will register, and so we have 50 plus, I think, 25 more, 75. So you need to register. If you are a member, yeah, you can come in. Because what happens is the Swami draws a lot of crowd, and with these days of, again, there's a kind of slight rise in this Delta variant in California, in LA also. So we need to be very careful, need to be masked, and we need to be vaccinated, nothing doing. So because you are going to kind of endanger another person. So, and yes, today is July 4th, and in the afternoon, at 2 o'clock, there will be a talk at Trabuco Monastery, also again on Zoom, online. There is a puja being performed by Swami Sarvadevananda today at Trabuco. Okay. So we have a few questions here. Yeah, somebody mentioned July 4th. Generally, in India, we don't celebrate it. In America, you celebrated the Independence Day. But you must know that today was the day when Swami Vivekananda gave up his body. It's called Mahasamadhi. So July 4th. So apart from all the thank yous and thank yous and thank yous, so yeah, so we have is there any Upanishad that speaks of both Saguna Brahman and Nirguna Brahman as equally true, and does it also glorify Bhakti equally as Jnana? So we would like you to read the Kata Upanishad. In fact, all the Upanishads are speaking about the reality, the conditioned reality and the unconditioned, the immanent reality as well as transcendent reality. Otherwise, it will be just kind of pantheism. No, it is absolutism. That is, reality is both immanent and transcendental, and that's the work of the Upanishad. So I would like you to go to these Upanishads, some of the Upanishads. Again, he said, does any Upanishad speak of world affirming jnana rather than world negating jnana? What is this world affirming, world negating jnana? Jnana is knowledge, absolute knowledge. And the highest stage, Sri Ramakrishna says, is vijnana, the stage where you see everything as divine. This is what Vedanta has been preaching. I don't blame a person, because what happens is some people have been preaching Vedanta as, it's an illusion. So I said, these guys don't want to face the reality. They want something illusory. Vedanta is preaching the divinity of the soul and a divinity of creation and divinity of everything. That is what Vedanta preaches. And if you are not seeing it, that's an illusion. So here, can you explain transition states between sleep and waking? So between sleep and waking is called hypnopompic. You could kind of rewind the talk and then you can see what I spoke about it. How do I behave in the transcendental world with the knowledge of the self? Where should I take the stand? You don't exist in the transcendental realm, my friend. This idea of me in the transcendental realm, that we just can't dispense with this idea of this I, the ego. You dispense it in the state of deep sleep. Why are you frightened about throwing it away? Thank you, Swami, for this ecstatic grand teaching. Oh, Lara's. Okay, there's another one. Holy Mother said that faith is the last word, but a common theistic person also says he has faith in God. So is there any difference between faith referred to by Ma? Faith, Shraddha. Guru Shastreshu Vishwasa Shraddha. Faith in the words of the Guru and in the words of the Shastra is called faith. Now, Swami Vivekananda is very clear. If you do not have faith in yourself, and if you have faith in all the 330 millions of God and all the extra gods that the foreigners have put in India, you are doomed. So you better have faith in yourself first. So that's what he's saying. This is important, okay, faith. Before we can, because Nachiketa in the Kathopanishad, he began his inquiry into what is death. Maybe that could be another topic for another day for me. And then the Upanishad, the faith entered into him. Shraddha Vivesha, and transformed him. So when faith is not a kind of a weak thing. It's very transformative. You become transformed with faith. People say, I believe in God. But that belief has not transformed that person. That person is the same. He goes in the church, temple, mosque and comes out the same person. There's no transformation. So when we talk about faith, faith is a transformative power also. Is there any authentic, unbiased commentary of Upanishads such as Shvetashvatara, Chandogya, other than Advaita commentary of Shankaracharya? Yeah, you could. There are plenty of, what do you mean authentic? All commentators were all authentic. I mean, the commentators Shankaracharya and all, they were authentic. And you must have faith here, there. There are plenty of it. You could go and check on the internet. You mentioned about science explains external world, where religion explains internal world. What do you mean by internal world? The world of your mind. You have an internal world. And there in that internal world, you have grandiose visions about yourself. Don't you? Ujjwal? Okay. So we have created a separate internal world for ourselves, apart from this external world. We live in our own worlds. Is God a personality? Oh God, oh my God. Yeah, we personalize that impersonal. And that's why the Rig Veda says, Ekam Sadvipra Bhavda Vadanti. Truth is one, sages call it by various names. Because we are humans, we want to see God as human. We personalized God as human. But we sometimes put an extra hands, you know. But it is, we personalize things, you know, kind of. Oh, there the ship sails and the tree is laughing, the skies are, you know, beautiful. What's all the, yeah, personalized. Everything in nature we are trying to personalize. So we are doing that for God also. And that's why we have various conceptions. Each one is true. Your personalization of God is good for you. If I want to worship the goddess Durga, nobody in the world is going to stop me from it. If you want to worship God as Shiva, you're welcome to it. That's your business. So this is what is called religious freedom, and this freedom has to be now encouraged and inculcated and not dismissed. For too many centuries, for 2,000 years, we have been at each other's throats, saying, my conception of God is the right one, and I'll teach you about God. So, when we are very tired, we give it a good sleep. We feel rested and cheerful. Is it all physical or mental too? Your nerves, your brain, which has been running about, slows down. Didn't I say that delta sleep slows down the brain waves? Okay, so it's physical, mental, and spiritual also. That was the whole talk. And another thing I want to do, because I missed out in the talk, people who are kind of moral, they can sleep well. People who are immoral, they just can. turned around over and over again. So that is another thing. I met Unmani and Aladini. Is that what you meant by hypnopompic? Sorry, I joined a bit. No, sorry, I never met Unmani and Aladni. Hypnagogic and hypnopompic. These are technical terms used in science, in psychology, Swamiji, when you say dawa that, how do we then differentiate between soul and super soul? Does the soul have its own individuality then? Oh my God. The soul does not have its individuality. It is this individuality of the soul in the waking, in a dream, is what separates itself, what separates it from the reality. So when you merge in, it's gone. So when you say thou art that, it's speaking about you as that, not you. It's not trying to solidify or consolidate or crystallize the you. It's trying to dismiss the you and saying you are that. Okay. Yeah. Advaita says it's all illusion. Who says Advaita says it's all illusion? Some yogi in India asked, why do Advaitans take food in the illusory world? Is a valid question. No, we don't say everything is an illusion. Advaita does not say. What it means is, it gives you an example. Let me explain. You see a snake and you get frightened. Okay? And when light is brought, it is found that it's not a snake, it's a piece of rope. That snake, which was unreal, has to rest exactly on the rope. You cannot have a rope there and a snake there. You cannot see these two things separate. It has to be on the same substratum. So what changed? Nothing changed. It's just that I went closer, or somebody brought in the light and, oh, I thought it was a snake. It's a piece of rope. So that I thought it was a piece, I thought it was a snake. That is an illusion. The substratum is not an illusion. It is real. So you've seen, probably seen, or you heard of mirage. What's a mirage? It's a mirage. It's a mirage. A mirage. But there has to be, you can see, a real substratum. You need to have water somewhere, and then you have the cold and the hot air. You can say currents. And where there's a kind of a reflection, you need to have a sun. So all these real things generate something called a mirage. So when you see this world, there are many real factors that are generating this, what you see, the mirage of the world. So you're saying, we experience God when we sleep. Can we experience God in waking state? Oh yes, exactly. That is what you're supposed to do. Yeah. You are actually united always with reality, with existence, with God. Always. It's the ego that makes you separate. Okay? So you realize it in the state of waking. Describe your personal enlightenment experience. Why should I discuss it kind of in our traditions? And our tradition is not a new tradition. We have a 6,000-year tradition. Okay? We have a 6,000-year tradition, and I'm not going to break my 6,000-year-old tradition. Imagine all the teachers and teachers of teachers, all these things, they with so much trouble, they protected these teachings of Vedanta, handed it down to the next generation, the next generation, the next generation. And a fool like me comes and talks about it. personally. So, sorry, you get your own enlightenment and then you know what it is. There is one consciousness only, right? As per Advaita. They got it differentiate into different individually as separate soul. Okay. So yeah, even there was Erwin Schrödinger. He was a very great physicist, and he also was a great student of Vedanta. Saying consciousness is singular. So remember this, consciousness is singular. The duality is this differentiation. And Vedanta gives an example of one sun which is reflected in millions and millions of globules of water. Are there millions of suns or is there one sun? So that is what Vedanta shows. I am part of Balak Sangha. As a student, how can we include these spiritual values in our studies and day and night activities? My God, how do you speak the truth? If you can stick to truth, you will be such a powerful person, not physically, I'm not talking. You will be unstoppable. So this is the best way you can bring out these teachings in your day-to-day life. Parabhakti, as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, related to Vijnana, is defined by Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. Parabhakti, Sri Ramakrishna practiced this highest form of bhakti, Parabhakti, highest form of bhakti, after he attained Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Okay. So bhakti is not simply that song, singing and dancing. This is the preparatory stage, it's called. Bhakti has two levels. The preparatory stage, so much puja, japa, dhyana, this going to temples and churches and synagogues, going to this pilgrimage, doing the charity, all these are preparatory stages. And when it has become established, it rises to the higher form, where you don't need an external aid at all. Okay? You understand that love for God and you are not separate. Okay? Love for God, you, the lover, and the beloved God are all one. You are all merged. Somebody says, is enlightenment a personal experience or impersonal? Yeah, that's a nice one. You as a person experience the impersonal. I hope you can. It's like, if you can see an whole ocean in a drop of water, from where the ocean has come actually about. The drop of water has come from the ocean. If you can see the whole ocean in a drop of water, that is your personal, you can say, experience of the impersonal. Okay? So when we see a drop of water, we only see a drop of water. Can you see the ocean in it? When you see it, that's... please give us the best method to spiritualize the emotional mind and make it mind a witness. Oh my God. How do you do that? Be devoted to the task, your work in hand. Completely merge, become concentrated while working for anybody or anything. And at the end of the day, before you go to sleep, pray to God saying, everything that what I have done and thought and said is an offering to you. Take it back. That will develop a spiritual mind. We stop here. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. Thank you very much. I won't meet you all individually.